this edition of Blue Demon Exchange. I'm Jeanne, Honda. We have a very special guest for this edition as we welcome in Jeanne Lenti Ponsetto to talk about her tenure in time as being the athletic director here at DePaul. And, 18 years covers a lot of territory. And if you don't mind, I'm going to take you all the way back to the beginning because you said something when you first started. I'm going to quote here. The quality of every student-athlete experience is something the AD should be judged on. The formula is simple. If you have scholarships, facilities, and good people teaching and coaching, then you will be successful. You were pretty successful. How did you accomplish all that, though, in 18 years?
Well, I had a lot of help, Jeanne, along the way. First of all, I had a terrific staff, an amazing group of coaches, and a spectacular support staff that provided unbelievable leadership and mentorship for our student athletes. And the magic always is the student athletes. They're what make a program great. And we've been so fortunate over my 18 years and actually before that to have recruited some of the most outstanding young men and women that have represented DePaul in the best of ways that I couldn't be more proud. So I'd say that was our formula. We certainly had to have a lot of support from the university. Scholarships were important. One of the things that we did immediately was put together a strategic plan. And in that strategic plan, we had to increase our scholarship allotments, which helped us be able to recruit outstanding students and outstanding student athletes. We were really fortunate that we got a lot of support from the university. Jim Doyle and Jack Minogue were president and vice president at that time and provided us with a good base and a good start. And then Father Dennis became president shortly after that. And his leadership and mentorship throughout the university and the growth of the university was just amazing. So we had great budget support. And then, I think one of our shortcomings that we really had to drill down on was facilities. We were incredibly landlocked and we had a long way to go. One of the things that we set out to do pretty quickly was to enhance our facilities. And then, like I said, people, I think our best selling point at DePaul has always been the people. We have amazing coaches and who are terrific teachers, great motivators, and support staff that were so incredibly committed to the student-athlete experience and the overall growth of our program that I was incredibly fortunate to be surrounded by terrific people.
I'm glad you talked about facilities because I'm going to throw in a quote here from a former co-worker of yours or associate who was the CEO of the Metropolitan Pier and Exposition Authority. This is from Lori Healy, who said that without Jeannie's unwavering commitment to the completion of Wintrust Arena, it would not be the asset for the university and the city of Chicago that it is today. And there's an interesting point there. It's both for DePaul and for the city. Benefits both parties, right?
Yeah, I think it's one of the beauties of, I think how you're going to grow urban America in this century. You have to have public-private partnerships to be able to really move and shape infrastructure. And again, with the great leadership of Father Dennis and Jeff Bethke and then, of course, the city of Chicago and, Mayor Emanuel at the time and Mayor Lightfoot since then. And Lori Healy was just, her commitment was unwavering. And so, it was great to partner with them. And I'm, truly proud of what we were able to put together. That was a terrific opportunity for DePaul University and our men's and women's basketball programs, but also what it's added to the city of Chicago and how it's added to that economic engine down at McCormick Place. At their McCormick Place campus.
And you mentioned being landlocked, but in spite of that, you were able to improve facilities like Cacciatore Stadium, Wish Field, and even expand out to as far as Ruffled Feathers, right?
Yeah, incredibly fortunate. Again, Ruffled Feathers is another, public-private partnership and, or private-private partnership, because of some of the, not having a golf course facility close to us here on campus, we need to do that for golf. But more importantly, we relied on good friends, the Cacciatore family, help us build Cacciatore Stadium for softball. And then, Ernie Wish and his family, terrific supporters for Wish Field, David Cherry and the Cherry family indoor track, and then Lane Stadium, and again, another city of Chicago and Chicago Park District and Chicago Public School partnership. So, we really called on our assets and our resources that we had here in the city of Chicago, and we're able to, I think, make all entities better. And, the beneficiaries for us were our student athletes, and it enabled us to recruit student athletes who wanted to get a DePaul education and were able to come here and then, took us to championship levels. So I'm incredibly proud of that.
And talk about an incredible advertisement for DePaul, the Fullerton L Stop. whether you take the red line or the brown line, when you stop there, you can't help but think, well, this is DePaul country, isn't it?
Yeah, no question about it. Well, first of all, you see the beautiful mural that was done by Brother Mark Elder, who was one of my classmates at DePaul that graces McKay Paul, and you see St. Vincent looking over Wish Field and Catch Torrey Stadium, which is such an iconic scene that you don't see very often in college athletics, but in an urban mecca like Chicago, what a treasure, what a treasure it is. And, it's really become a signature piece for DePaul, and you see it in a lot of our university publications. And we're really, really proud to have been a part of it. But again, without great benefactors, we wouldn't be in this position. And a great staff, our staff that helped us support that effort, our advancement staff, Thad Dorn and his team. And again, terrific leadership from the university really made that possible.
You talked about increasing scholarships and increasing funding for certain programs. And one of the biggest problems about that for any athletic director is, where does the money come from? Part of that for you also came from the work you did to be able to help form the Big East, right?
The work we did with the Big East is really a tribute and a credit to DePaul and our history and our tradition. I was really fortunate to have great relationships with a lot of the athletic directors and colleagues in the Big East Conference. And, none more special than Mike Tranghese, who was the commissioner of the Big East at the time. And Mike and I were chairs of the men's and women's basketball committees, respectively. So we spent a lot of time together in the late 90s. And as the Big East was looking to expand, Mike gave me a call and asked about what our interest level would be. And Conference USA was changing, becoming more of a football conference. And, again, it speaks volumes about DePaul's traditions in men's basketball and women's basketball and all the other sports. And I think, of course, coming to the Chicago market was a huge opportunity for the Big East Conference as well. And so I'm really excited. I was really excited at the time, and I think our coaches were incredibly excited as well to be able to partner with the Big East. And what a terrific home that's been for us ever since.
See, you say it's a credit to DePaul, but I think you're forgetting it's a credit to you, and I have proof. For example, Linda Bruno, who was the A-10 conference commissioner, said during her illustrious career, Jeanne negotiated DePaul's membership into the Big East Conference, serving as chair of the NCAA Women's Basketball Committee. Vince Nicastro, deputy commissioner of the Big East, said Jeanne is the best of the best in college sports, a powerful and honorable advocate for student athletes. And this should be mentioned too. You just didn't just work with the conference. You worked with the NCAA as well, and it's all you, not just DePaul. It's you.
Well, Jeanne, you're flattering me, but the decision to come to DePaul was transformational for me, and I owe an incredible debt of gratitude to the Vincentian Fathers for a spectacular education that I received here, and the faculty and staff who taught and mentored me, and the people that I was so fortunate to be mentored by: Doug Bruno, Dr. Patricia Ewers, Father Richardson, and Father John Cordelou when I was an undergrad student. And there were so many people who had an impact on my life during those years that I'm incredibly grateful. Gene Sullivan, who was the athletic director, he and Doug were the ones that gave me this opportunity to start as DePaul's first assistant women's basketball coach. And from there, I was on this launching pad that, was like the most incredible journey that, I could ever imagined I would have been on.
You mentioned being a communicator and a collaborator, and you worked with so many people, both of the NCAA. Here's one person you worked with, Robin Roberts. I have such fond memories of working alongside Jeanne during the NCAA women's basketball tournament. What a fantastic teammate. It's been an absolute joy knowing her through the years. I thought I was the only person who missed seeing you during NCAA tournament time, but there's a lot of other people too, aren't there?
Oh, that was such a great time in my life. That was the 2002 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship. I had been the chair of the Women's Basketball Committee through 97 and 98, and gotten to know a lot of folks at ESPN, and they asked me to join their team that year for the championship. And actually, no, it was the 2000 year. And so much fun. Robin Roberts, Jay Billis. Jay was doing men's and women's basketball both at the time, and Vera Jones. And they were my anchor desk partners, and Robin led our team, and it was so much fun. It was such an incredible time for women's basketball because, women's basketball was booming and our attendance was great. And it's, continued to skyrocket ever since then. But, to have an opportunity to be on ESPN with that cast and the terrific crew that we had as well, that's one of my fondest memories.
Being a collaborator is an important part. Being a team sport in everything. And I've got to ask you, how much of that comes not just from your education and your training, but from the fact that you were a teammate in a sport?
Well, I had the good fortune, to grow up in a really competitive household with, 4 brothers and my sister. And, we played a lot of sports. That's what we did for fun. We played with the other kids in the neighborhood. We, ran around in parks. And, when I got to college, I played a lot of sports in high school. And then when I got to college, the opportunity to play basketball and volleyball and tennis. And then along came softball. I love the competitiveness. I love being part of a team. I loved watching our teams grow and develop, and it was so much fun to be on the cusp of Title IX and to be one of the first beneficiaries of Title IX, and all the way to becoming one of the few women athletic directors in the country. I'd love for there to be more. As we approach another anniversary for Title IX, I'm really hopeful and optimistic that opportunities continue to grow and develop for women. It's really been one of the themes of my career has been about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I couldn't work at a better place to support those initiatives, and I'm really proud of that. But yeah, it was fun being part of a team. I really enjoyed it, and I have had the most unbelievable teammates in my department. Our coaches and our staff have just done yeoman's work. What they do day in and day out to teach and coach and mentor, and I don't mean just in the field of competition, but also in life, the life skills and the Vincentian principles that they instill in our student athletes and how it is that we go about and care for folks who live at the margin. So I work with an incredibly talented group of coaches and staff, and everything that we've done together. And I'm so incredibly proud of all of them.
Okay, we're done with talking about teams and groups. Let's talk about individual accolades. You have received some wonderful recognition, including 2-time Athletics Director of the Year, National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics, Ellis Island Medal of Honor, Women's Basketball Association Administrator of the Year, Women Leaders in Sports Trailblazer, Chicagoland Sports Hall of Fame, National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame here in Chicago, and of course, DePaul Athletics Hall of Fame. We can talk team all you want, but those are some very impressive individual accolades.
Well, thank you, Jeanne. But again, those awards go to my whole team. That's everybody that works with me day in and day out, and to our student athletes, because if they don't achieve and accomplish at the high levels that they do, and of course our coaches, how many times have we had coaches who've become not only Big East Conference Coach of the Year, but a Regional Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year, again, terrific people that I'm surrounded by. I'll take credit for being smart enough to surround myself with really good people. But after that, I tell people all the time that they do all the heavy lifting, our student athletes and our coaches and our staff, and I somehow managed to get all the credit for it. But I have been so fortunate to be smart enough. I'll take credit for that, for surrounding myself with a terrific cast and a terrific team of people who've done unbelievable work.
Well, wait a minute. One of the people from those organizations, Chris Volz, who was the president of Collegiate Women in Sports, said, Jeannie's leadership serving as chair of the Collegiate Women's Sports Awards Board of Directors has been nothing short of critical and exemplary, and one for the ages. She's fiercely loyal and committed, driven by service, and through advocacy and expertise has advanced the organization exactly when and how it was needed. So, yeah, you have a good team, but someone has to represent the team, don't they?
Yeah, and again, that's so thoughtful of Chris, and Chris is a longtime colleague. For me, this is just payback. This award is, it honors the best of the best in intercollegiate athletics and all of women's sports. And, to dedicate and devote my time to, Collegiate Women's Sports Award is a labor of love. Again, the byproduct of Title IX, all these women who have these incredible opportunities. I couldn't help but want to do this. It's one of those passions that you have for watching the advancement of women in sport. And I'm so blessed to be surrounded by Chris and her leadership. One of the things I've tried to do, Jeanne, throughout my career, no matter what committees I've served on or whatever, has always been about advancing the opportunities for women and for minorities. And it's one of the things I'm most proud of when I served on the championships cabinet, is that, that was the time in the history of the NCAA when we made sure that every conference received an automatic bid in every sport that they were eligible for. And we did away with we eliminated the play-ins, and we eliminated this sort of caste system that existed in intercollegiate athletics. And so still to this day, if you're the champion of a conference, and no matter what the sport, you have access to the NCAA championship. And that provided a lot more opportunities for minorities and for women. And one of the things I'm most proud of. And of course, the Collegiate Women's Sports Award that honors women student athletes. I think that's one of the things that, I was taught to do as a student athlete, and taught to do as a person who was a professional at DePaul, was to always champion diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm incredibly proud that I was able to do that.
And I got to do this to you. Doesn't the Collegiate Women in Sport Award also have another shorter name?
The Honda Award?
Thank you very much. I had to do. So we've been talking a lot about sports and on the national scene, but I think people don't necessarily realize how much you've done outside of athletics for DePaul on the campus. And I'm going to start with this quote from Reverend Dennis Holtschneider. There are certain people who just are DePaul. Everyone knows it. And Jeannie's always been one of them. She made sure athletics realized their privilege and their responsibility for those who had less. She worked to make DePaul worthy of our name. I think St. Vincent would be proud to see his name on this university, and I think he must always have been proud to see Jeannie as one of its leaders. I know I always was. God bless you, Jeannie, and thank you for bringing your good heart to DePaul each and every day. All of us have been blessed because you did. And that includes you helping and being a big part of a fine arts complex for your landlocked university, right?
Well, of course, it's terrific that we have this facility named after Father Dennis, who, again, you can't say enough about his leadership during his time that he was at DePaul. And I think one of the things that I always took away that I think was a gift that he gave to everyone who worked under him, for those of us, whether you worked closely with him or if you were a faculty staff, and that we always were about championing diversity and inclusion and equity. It was such an important part of our DNA of who we are at DePaul. And I think that's one of the gifts that he gave us at DePaul. And I'm, again, so proud to have worked by his side and been shoulder to shoulder with him. And, without him, we wouldn't have had the facilities that we have today. He, gave us a lot of support. He helped me do the fundraising. He was incredibly upfront about the need and about the wonderful things that athletics brought to the university, and how we were the front porch of the university, and how important it was to make sure that our student athletes had the best experience possible. So I'm so grateful to him.
So there was no separation between DePaul Athletics and DePaul University. I think that's what was so special about the time that you spent as the athletic director, right?
I feel like that, Jeanne. DePaul is such a special place because of the people. Fabulous education. Can't say enough. We have so many terrific academic programs. But I think what makes DePaul special is the people. And, I look at all my colleagues that I've had the good fortune to work with over the years in enrollment management, financial aid, and all the various deans. And, my dear colleagues on the financial side of the university who always helped us find ways to, make ends meet. And again, not to mention the terrific people that I had in the athletic department who came to work every day, rolled up their sleeves, checked their egos at the door, and said, what can we do today to make this the best possible experience for our student athletes, and to help them leave here with not only a championship experience as a student, as an athlete, but also to leave with a Vincentian heart, someone who cares about people who live at the margins. And so, DePaul's been such a special place, and I'm so grateful for having had the opportunity to be able to spend my whole career here. I look back on it with fond memories, and look forward to continuing to stay involved, and now coming to the games and cheering our teams on, and being a fan in the stands, and relishing in what comes next. We do have some next projects. We're obviously continuing as much as we can to enhance our facilities. We'd love to do a renovation of the Sullivan Athletic Center and make it a beautiful home for men's and women's basketball and volleyball. And then we've also got this terrific opportunity. We've done the feasibility study and we have the plans to build a field house. We've really just got to find the right location and the right property and finish the fundraising, but we're already off to a great start. So my successor will have his work cut out for him, but I think there's a good footprint in place, and I think DePaul's going to be terrific going forward.
I have a quote for you. You might want to grab a drink of water while I read this, and I'll tell you who the quote is from when I'm done. The quote is, "Serendipity is an unplanned fortunate event. Serendipity graced Jeanne, I, and the Vicentians when she arrived at DePaul University in September of 1974. Little did any of us realize all that she would bring with her that would impact so many of us in such a wonderful way. Serendipity that has graced Jeanne professionally is the wonderful opportunity presented to her by DePaul that has allowed her to serve and to help out thousands of DePaul students over the years as they strive to reach their own hopes and dreams. In her own unique, pleasant manner, she has done it in a way that has brought her national renown, but also the love and admiration of the highest echelons of the NCAA to the managers and student workers that she brought into the DePaul community. We won't cry because this part of her life is over. Rather, we will smile because it happened." And that's a quote that comes from a Blue Demon legend named Joe Ponsetto.
Gotta love that guy, right, Jeanne? That's so sweet. That's so him. He reminds me all the time. He's wanted me to retire for the last couple of years, and he told me the other day he's anxious to get back the Jeanne of 1976. So kind of that free and easy when we were sophomores in college and first started dating, and life's taken a lot of different twists and turns along the way, but I'm so incredibly grateful to him. My parents for the wonderful education, but Joe has been with me every step of this journey, and I adore him, and I am so appreciative that he took the time to give you a quote, which is pretty special.
Well, Joe may say there's certain things you want to do, but the one thing I want to sort of end on is this isn't a goodbye to DePaul, I don't think, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm going to step aside and be in the background. It's time for me to do that. But I absolutely look forward to cheering our teams on and being in their balcony, cheering them on every step of the way.
But there's a difference between being in the background and disappearing, correct?
That's correct. My first love will always be DePaul.
I refuse to say goodbye, so I would rather say on behalf of all of DePaul and all of the people you've touched, thank you to Jeanne Lenti Ponsetto, and thank you for joining us on Blue Demon Exchange.
My heart's to you too, Jeanne. Thank you.